Hello and welcome to One Good Life. In this channel, we draw insights from modern science and ancient wisdom that can help us live a happy and meaningful life. So a few weeks ago, we talked about the Yoga Sutras from Sage Patanjali. I recommend you check out this video to get the introduction on what these Yoga Sutras are, when they were written, and who Sage Patanjali was also. So today we'll keep exploring the Yoga Sutras. We'll now jump chapters to Sutra 29 in chapter 2 of the Patanjali Yoga Sutras book, and we'll explore what we call the 8 limbs of the yoga practice, the 8 important and crucial components that together holistically make up for the amazing practice that yoga is, and the full proposition that yoga suggests for living happy, fulfilling moral lives, on or off the mat. The word Ashtanga means 8 limbs, and also it's known as a specific type or style of yoga nowadays. So today we'll start exploring the first and the second limb of yoga, which are the Yamas and Niyamas. Together, these two encompass the moral and ethical code that yoga is suggesting for our lives. The Yamas are often known as the restraints, the don't do's, and the Niyamas are the observances, the do's, the no's and the yeses. There's 5 Yamas and 5 Niyamas, which together form 10 recommendations, commandments, suggestions, guidelines for living a fulfilling and holistic moral life and embodying the principles of yoga in our body, with our minds, with our actions and thoughts. These can set the base principles that can set us up in the right way. They can put our minds in the right position, focus our mind to the right objective, and within the right conditions for our yoga practice to flourish. These yamas, as well as other yamas, are actually included in many Hindu texts as well, such as the Rig Vedas, which we'll touch on in a different video. However, Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras lists 5, which are the key for embodying the practice of yoga in itself, outside of the wider religious and social context in which it emerged. So the first yama listed in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras is Ahimsa, non-violence. This can be interpreted in a literal way, such as not killing, not inflicting violence upon others, but also it's been interpreted in a more challenging way to also include the words that we speak to others in front of them or behind their back, the thoughts that we think about others and also about ourselves, trying to apply it to our asana, physical poses on the mat. These could be being gentle with ourselves, pushing ourselves, but being very attentive to what our body needs and not overworking our muscles or joints, for instance. It could also be embodied when we concentrate on our own practice and we don't compare ourselves with others in the room, with other practitioners or the teacher or anyone else. A few years ago, I did a 10-day silent meditation course, Vipassana, and during these 10 days, we were served vegetarian food, and the suggestion was to avoid killing animals for eating, but also killing insects and interpreting this principle in a more extensive way. The second yama is Satya, truthfulness. This could be applied by not lying to others, regardless of whether we actually have bad intentions for others or not. Could mean avoiding white lies. It could also mean to be truthful to our own essence, to our own path and truth, which could involve being more open with ourselves and with our loved ones about what we need, what our story has been so far, where we've succeeded, where we've fallen short, and bring our whole experience, all the ups and downs of our lives, to the mat. And really listening to our body during the grounding phase and throughout the practice to understand what our body needs today, in our practice today, which most times is not the same as what we needed yesterday or what we'll need tomorrow. The third principle is Asteya, non-stealing. So this can be interpreted in the most kind of obvious way, not stealing possessions from others, but many people have interpreted it to mean also not stealing time from other people. For instance, if we are always arriving late to things, we are forming this habit of stealing time from people. It can be time or even energy that has not been freely offered or given. It could mean, for instance, having lots of questions to ask the teacher after the class, although it's outside her working hours, or perhaps sending them a lot of emails, and in general not being respectful of each other's time, energy levels, and of course possessions as well. It could also be used in a more introspective way, not stealing ourselves from the experiences that we really need today. It could be that we really need to be present in our practice, that we've been stressed and busy throughout the day, and it would be stealing from ourselves to not take the time we need to meditate or to calm ourselves down, to listen to our thoughts. The fourth yama is Brahmacharya, which is normally interpreted as celibacy or sexual restraint, but it can also be seen as avoiding excess of anything really. So when we are noticing that we are getting distracted with technology, we are indulging in too much food or too much of a certain food that we know it's not healthy for us. In general, the idea is that if we restrain ourselves from going after our impulses and our physical needs, within moderation of course, we will create this space of creativity for our everyday lives, but also we'll be able to connect more with our physical bodies, our mind and thoughts, and what is actually happening on the mat and off the mat as well. The final principle in the Patanjali Yamas is Aparigraha, non-avarice, non-possessiveness. I like to think of this as not hoarding. A lot of us have hoarding tendencies. Some might be more obvious than others. Perhaps we don't like donating or throwing clothes away that we know we don't wear often at all. Or perhaps it's about decluttering our laptops from old photos and memories and in general emotional possessions that we carry with us throughout our lives. It could also be related to the principle of Asteya, non-stealing, because often both of these principles, when we go against them, we are coming from a place of feeling deficient in some way. We might feel like we are not enough or we don't have enough, or that in the future we might not have enough. This is contrary to a place of abundance. This is contrary to a place of feeling that we are capable in the future of providing for ourselves, and that the world, God, the divine spirit, the set of odd chances that lead us to where the future will lead us, will be able to provide for us as well. So when we have that type of comfort, we can relax and we are not in this possessive mode where we want to buy more toilet paper because COVID-19 might mean there might not be enough in the future, or not respecting our friends' boundaries and asking too many questions because we think there might not be an opportunity in the future to do so, or feeling in general anxious and subconsciously believing that we need to take more, gather more, collect more because we need more, which is often not true. Some texts in Hinduism list these 5 yamas, but also include 5 extra ones, which we can touch on in a future video if you're interested.